This episode of The Pitch is brought to you by Realtor.com. Realtor.com has more homes for sale than any other national real estate site or app. In most parts of the country, the listings are updated every 15 minutes. Go to Realtor.com/pitch to learn more. That's REALTOR.com/pitch. From Gimlet, this is The Pitch. I'm Josh Muccio.
So Carlos Santana and I built one of them called Teamable.
On this show, we venture into the world of startups to a critical moment when aspiring entrepreneurs put it all on the line and pitch investors for funding.
We quit our nice lives and we moved out here to a garage in Palo Alto.
So you're replacing recruiters?
Most of you haven't applied to a job since you were, in college like me.
I mean, any good person doesn't apply for a job, right?
Today, we hear from a brash East Coast founder who is sure she has the solution for helping companies find great talent. But a solution is just the start. She also has to convince investors she is an entrepreneur worth betting on. And that could be a tough sell. Phil Nadell is the co-founder of Forefront Venture Partners. He's all about managing risk and won't go in on investment unless the numbers are rock solid.
$3 million, we do the whole thing.
Jillian Manis is here representing Structure Capital. Her investment decisions often hinge on whether she could be a good match for the company by bringing value beyond just the money.
And I see the merit. I just want to make sure that I always add smart money, just not money.
Jake Chapman's here with Gelt VC. He has a keen eye for the small details, and as a former lawyer, he'll hold a founder accountable for their every word.
They're going to shut you down on that name. It's definitely trademark infringement.
Howie Diamond founded the VC firm Ranch Ventures. He's looking for entrepreneurs who think outside the box, someone with that X factor that you can't quite put your finger on.
I dig your mojo, man.
Joining us this week is Sheil Manat with 500 Startups. He isn't afraid to call things exactly how he sees them, and he's looking for a founder who can dish it back.
As much as I want the business to exist, I don't know if it can.
So I don't know if you ever tried that. And then we sold it to Crown about...
It's mid-morning in San Francisco, and our investors are waiting on the next entrepreneur. They're shooting the breeze to pass the time, which, if you're a big-time investor like Jillian Manis, means revealing the details of your latest Super Bowl party.
So I built the San Francisco Bridge. It was an acre long in my backyard, in the back.
You built a model of...
Yeah, and then NASA called me the day after my party. He was like, "Hello, Miss Manis?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "This is Lieutenant so-and-so from NASA."
Reminds me of my prom entrance or something.
Oh,
hi! Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Founder Laura Bilazarian enters the room, as Jillian leaves us on a real cliffhanger of a story. Why did NASA want Jillian's replica? We'll tell you at the end. But now, we have a pitch to hear.
Tell
Okay,
us.
awesome. Hi, I'm Laura from Teamable, and we've built the best way to hire the right teammates via data-driven referrals.
Laura explains that she used to work in a Wall Street investment bank. There, like a lot of places, hiring the right talent was incredibly hard, a constant struggle. But she noticed, on average, when they hired people employees knew, those people consistently performed better than people who applied cold. This isn't news, right? Companies know that good employees come from referrals, but finding those people is the tricky part. If only there was a way to make it really easy, like to gather all those friends and associates in one place, like a big social network.
The average person has between 500 and 1,500 connections across Facebook, LinkedIn, the oldest social network, which is their email. The thing is, they don't know necessarily who those people are, and they're not thinking about them in terms of positions at their company.
But with the right technology, it'd be easy for employees to identify and contact qualified applicants through their social networks. Laura decided she had to be the one to build that technology.
So we did what any normal person would do. We quit our nice lives and we moved out here to a garage in Palo Alto. And so we're raising $1 million to accelerate our growth.
Is this your first company?
Yes. Yeah. But I was an investment banker, so I was in a lot of these meetings with other people's companies.
Yeah.
Tell us more about how it works.
Well, I'll just use an example of a company we're launching in a few days is Medallia, which is pre-IPO.
Medallia is just one of several dozen Teamable customers, and they're all using this technology that Laura's team built over the last couple of years. Here's how it works. If you're an employee at one of these companies, Teamable will comb through your networks, Facebook, LinkedIn, even your email contacts to find matches for open positions. HR flags their favorites, and then you can personally invite those friends to apply.
And it's very, very effective.
So you're replacing recruiters.
Yes, we are replacing agencies. We were just talking to Warby Parker in New York yesterday. Their engineers are getting between 20 and 100 messages a day. Like, they're ignoring them. But when it comes from their friend that they used to work at Google with, they respond.
The employee's empowered to reach out to their friends once there's a match.
Yeah.
Are the companies making their employees do this? Because if I were an employee and someone said,
Yeah,
show
that's
me
like
all
the
of your
biggest
friends,
whole point. Yeah.
Laura is very clear about this. No one is required to make their networks available to Teamable. It's entirely voluntary. Usually, a company using Teamable will send out an all-staff email that goes something like this.
Hey, we all know referrals make great hires. We all don't have time to go through our networks every time a new position opens. Can you take 30 seconds and upload your contacts into Teamable? By the way, you're just giving the names. No one can see your Facebook wall. No one can see your LinkedIn. It's like a spreadsheet type thing.
I think it makes sense, and like I never respond to recruiters, but
I'm
friends
sure
stuff
most of you haven't applied to a job since you were, in college like me.
I mean, any good person doesn't apply for a job, right?
Yeah.
But
That's not true.
I've never hired anybody who was looking
is
for a
true.
job. I've hired people who are great people, and great people aren't just available. So I think there's a huge, the biggest challenge my companies all have is talent right now. But so I feel the need. There are other players in the space broadly, JobVite, doing
LinkedIn,
all sorts of other stuff. I'm still struggling for what you do that's differentiated.
Yeah, so a couple things we do that's differentiated is we tap into social graphs like GitHub and Facebook, which LinkedIn, for example, can't do. So we've spent a lot of time in stealth building that capability. It's not easy. The other way that we're different is a lot of companies have tried to automate the matches. But the problem is if you automate the matches, one bad match and people start hating the software, right? Yeah. Whereas if you let the recruiters drive it and pick out the matches, then the matches are 100% correct.
How's it going overall for you, as a first-time entrepreneur?
I mean, I went through the darkness last year where it was
you were in the trough of sorrow.
Where people are like, no one's going to pay you to use their own that kind of stuff. And I really didn't know. Everything I didn't know what I was doing. But Silicon Valley has been really great. And so things have been, it's good now.
First-time entrepreneurs. They can be a big gamble for investors, which might explain why Howie asked Laura about it. But her answer, that she's been through the darkness, this proverbial trough of sorrow, is a surprisingly honest response. It could mean that she's earned her stripes as a founder, or it could mean she doesn't have the stomach for business. That's just one of the questions investors will need to hammer down before putting any money on the table.
Tell me about
Revenue.
We've been growing at 47% month over month. We're at 42 MRR.
$42,000 in monthly recurring revenue, MRR, is a pretty impressive start.
Last quarter, with 2 salespeople, we closed $225K in new bookings. We're good.
Take it from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yes.
So we're at 42,000 in
No.
monthly
Take us
recurring
back
revenue.
up. Back up.
We charge on a subscription basis, and we charge per employee per month.
how much do you charge?
Yeah, we charge sometimes as much as $20 per employee per month.
What's the average, though?
I actually don't know the average, but it's very close to that 20. We've done some bigger deals now that are 1,000 people, and that will go down to $8 per employee per month.
But that's sort of weird because per employee, shouldn't it be based on how many people they're hiring?
No, it's per employee per month because every employee comes with a value, which is the candidates in their network and their ability to influence their network. And then also, we can't account for their close rates.
So this can scale infinitely.
Yeah.
And you could scale up to hundreds of thousands of
we can
employees.
do anyone. And
Laura tells investors that Teamable's largest customer has several thousand employees and pays 6 figures a year for the service. But most of Teamable's customers have fewer employees, so they pay a lot less, $12,000 on average. And then she says something that really gets the investors' attention.
customers pay us up front.
Oh, they pay you all up front?
A lot of times,
good
yeah,
for cash
because
flow
they're budget
perspective.
conscious. So like we use that as part of the negotiation. Okay, great, you pay us up front. You can do $15 per employee per month.
I think you're disciplined, and I
Yeah.
think that's actually the best way to grow. What's your burn?
In this instance, Jillian is asking about gross burn. In other words, she just wants to know how much money Teamable is spending each month.
What's our burn? It's 20K.
Right, how many people?
We have 27.
Wait, Teamable has 27 employees and they're only spending $20,000 a month? Even if they had no other overhead costs, that would be less than $800 per employee per month.
I made a contrarian bet on Armenia, which is, I'm ethnically Armenian. So I went there, and they have a lot of those top engineers like those other Eastern European countries, but no one's tapping into it. And so we're the best game in Armenia, and so we have great engineers.
What do you pay them?
I'd rather not say on that. They're the cheapest for the region, so and I'm blaming my co-founders on this. They're Armenian, so they set the
Okay.
prices.
I love the fact that you're doing that.
Yeah.
That must give you amazing pride.
It does. That's how I made it through the darkness. If we're talking about, like, honestly, like if it weren't for, creating opportunity for Armenia, like through those periods where things didn't work and where no one wanted to buy it and all that stuff, like I would have just given up, but it was really for that kept me through, and it's created immense pride and hope and things like that over
Absolutely.
there.
By keeping employee costs low, Laura is doing something companies at this stage don't often do: turn a profit. But what is all that profit worth, really? In other words, what's the price tag on Laura's company?
Now we wouldn't take anything less than a 15 million cap.
How much are you raising?
We would take another 150.
So you're taking a 150 out of 15.
Yeah.
What's your MRR going to be by the end of this year, do you think?
By the end of this year, we'll get to that 100K.
So 15 is a little bit hefty valuation for because you're not yet at the Series A. So
I mean, it's a cap, right? So it's your chance to get in or just not. You know
Why,
what I mean?
why are you raising 150K?
yeah, if you don't need it.
I mean, just because I'm on the show and I wanted to, give you guys a chance to get in. Like, I really don't.
You don't need it.
You don't need us.
Yeah.
So why come on the show?
Because there's 40,000 listeners, all of which hiring is a pain point for.
Oh, I like your strategic mind.
Very opportunistic.
Appreciate your honesty.
So does anyone want to get in at the...
Just moments after Laura revealed that she doesn't actually need the funding, she's asking investors if they want in on the deal. Let's see how this plays out. Here's Phil.
I think the valuation that you're offering us is a little rich at this stage. I know that you have better insight into where you'll be in a few months than we do, of course. But I'm very interested. I'm just a little turned off by a $15 million valuation at a $42,000 MRR. But
47% month over month growth, like...
yeah. Yeah,
Doing
but you're
webinars,
asking us to invest sort of, at valuation levels 3 months from now.
And enterprise deal. Like, people would invest in that if you just had one six-figure... Like, how many companies have six-figure enterprise deals? Like, not that many.
But I can tell you,
Like,
companies we invest in at $42,000 MRRs, which is where you are today, they're not getting anywhere near a $15 million valuation. I know for you, you're in a good position because you don't need the money.
They also don't have the same cash flow profile that we have, because think about, like, the unit economics plus the cost of engineering is a fraction. So our total engineering costs us $15,000, including office a month, dude. So the cash that we will throw off.
That's all part of we're cash flow positive, which other companies.
No, that's part of also the growth, the cash flow of the business going forward.
I look at a ton of SaaS businesses. There are other businesses that take cash up front and are cash flow positive. There are tons of them. And I've got a company in my portfolio that's doing a few hundred K MRR, but actually like they're taking $1 million contracts up front. So it's not unique.
Are they valued at less than 15 million?
No, but they're doing like 8x the business you are, and they're valued at 25, 30 million.
Yeah.
So it's a different level.
I want to be in, right? I want to invest. I'm just having trouble with the number. I think regrettably, I think I'm gonna have to pass at 15 million.
Is there a number at which you wouldn't pass?
Yeah, I think for me at 10 I would do it.
No, can't do it.
So Phil just passed. Or wait, was it Laura that just passed? Either way, they couldn't agree on the valuation. Because Laura won't go lower than 15 million, Phil won't get as much of the company as he wants. So he's out. Here's Jake.
So for me, I think there's three things. First, I think I'm probably not a great investor for you because I don't really know the hiring, referral, talent space very well. So for me, I don't think I could add a ton of value to your company. Two, like everyone's saying, I think the valuation is definitely a little high. Maybe it makes sense from what you're seeing. You know you can close in 2 months. But today, I've got to value you at 42,000 MRR. And, that's more like a $4 or $5 million cap. 10 million is fairly generous. 15 is really like off the charts at that. The last one, which is I think the elephant in the room, is there was a 30-second moment of brutal honesty in your pitch. And I found that a big personal turnoff. So if you're here because you want the publicity and you're open to raising money, that's fine, right? Even though you're not here really to raise money. But the way it was delivered felt very much like this is just a promotional opportunity for me, and I don't care about any of you here or what value you can add. And so for that, I think that was just a little flub. I think you're a very nice person, but it was definitely a personal turnoff. And like in first impressions, like that can like kill a deal, at least for me.
So that's a hard pass from Jake. Here's Howie.
I have a totally different view. I get pitched, 60 to 70 companies a month, and I hear the same standard banal platitude rhetoric. Like it was refreshing to hear that. And I think you're scrappy, and I think you're opportunistic, and I think you have grit and like gumption, and I think that's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Like that's rare. I don't see that in the Valley that much.
Howie, let me ask you a question though.
Yeah.
Based on what you've seen, we're going to talk about you in front of you.
Fine.
But do you see her as a founder who's teachable?
I don't see it. It's interesting because I sort of pride myself on being I started my fund because I think I can identify talent and I think I can read people really well. I mean, that's one of the early stage. I'm mostly betting on people. And as brutally honest as you are, maybe it's just I have a lot of experience. I love working with East Coast founders and companies. It's just like, it's not an ego or hubris thing. I actually do think you'd be open if we work together to like taking, feedback.
Yeah.
You don't seem cantankerous. Yeah. You actually just seem like you're crushing it, to be honest. That's what I get. And I personally, like, I do think it's overvalued, but I do think that this could be one of those opportunities where it's like a $500 million to $1 billion exit, if not more, based on your hustle, based on, all the things that you've said, based on your attraction, based on you overcoming the sort of existential risk and digging yourself out of the trough of sorrow, and then like actually delivering results. Like you're actually walking the walk. Like I'm in. I probably want to go in for like, 25 or 30 or something like that. And I'm a creative and I have empathy for you and I'm an operator myself. So there's gap between venture and an entrepreneur is actually very small for me. So I like getting my hands dirty and I like working very closely with my founders. So
Howie's in. Next up, Jillian.
Let me understand this, Howie.
yes, Julie.
So what I heard from Laura is I'm standing firm at 15. This is what I heard. Okay. But everybody, who's spoken so far said I would come in, but I would come in at a little bit lower. But if you're going to give Howie a lower valuation because he's going to tell you how valuable he is, then you should give that opportunity to all of us, don't you think? Or to the ones that you feel will add as much as he will.
We're going to map it out with real numbers and stuff. It's not just, oh, hey, Bob, the standard pitch.
I can actually I'll be very honest, and I'm not going to be humble on this because pretty much everybody who's listening
Don't
will
be
know
humble,
this.
that's like a woman
I'm not.
thing
I'm
anyway.
not a
I'm
humble.
trying to be not a
yeah,
woman
I'm not
too,
a humble
yeah.
person. I could pick up the phone and pretty much call. Pretty much get at the highest level the CEOs, at least to
Which industry?
To pretty much any industry. So I'm old. Okay, let me start there. I've been
I'd say
around
it.
a long time. Okay, but let me just speak about you. Okay, you're a heat-seeking missile. Absolutely. I love your grit and I love your edge.
Thanks.
I was offended, I got to
Sorry.
admit, about what you said. But this is what I tell founders all the time. You can be tenacious, but stay gracious.
Yep.
Okay? That's really, really important because business is about relationships, bottom line. So just be a little bit careful. You want to be cocky, you're okay. That's all okay. And you want to get marketing from this. Good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, absolutely. And I applaud you on that. It was the presentation
Sure.
of the reality.
Sure.
It's like, I
Yeah,
don't
and
need
it's
you.
actually not the reality because one of the reasons is like I want to make sure our cap table is filled with female minority founders, and
Absolutely.
the fact that you were on here is actually one of the main reasons that I wanted to come because
Oh.
yeah,
And
really.
totally redeems herself.
So I really love this.
Yeah.
I love you. I love the fact you're finding jobs for females in tech. I love that piece. Every inch of me wants to put 100 grand into this. Okay, I'm absolutely choking on the 15 million, and I'm wondering if there's any possible way that you
three
would
of us should
come,
get some tequila
that you would
one
day.
come
Yeah, some tequila
down.
would be
I've
good.
got a great tequila
Probably give it to you
company.
for, like,
You get
6
tequila for
bucks
life with the
max.
100 grand.
No, I don't need that.
Okay.
You don't want to give me that.
But so
There
I
goes
want-
the company.
Shots for everyone.
They're talking tequila, but there's still the matter of how much of the company the investors will get.
So I guess the question is back at you. When we said to you 15, that you definitely posted it back to us and said, well, what would you feel comfortable with? Or what would be good? So I'm slinging it back onto you. What do you think? Do you think you could open this up for a couple of us who are interested or whatever at 13? Would you, I mean, we're talking about splicing hairs here.
Yeah,
right?
I'm thinking about the whole like chessboard,
Yes.
like not just what's in this.
Right, and it's not the
room.
money. It's just not the money.
At the end of the day, it's actually not going to matter in terms of
Yeah.
whether it's 10,
10,
11, 12, or
12.
15. It's actually not going to matter.
At
I mean,
10.
we could
I'm
fill
not-
out that whole
10's, like,
150K
no.
at
10
10.
definitely. I really like came in with
12?
the real price that like I was like.
Come
gonna
on,
walk
give us
at.
12. Give us 12.
I mean, I
because-
actually really do want to talk about the real things where you would add value
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
No,
we're
that's
having a
good.
lot of
Yeah.
these conversations for real, and so I do
Okay.
want to.
We should all talk. I'd love to chip in as well.
I'm going to end this,
All right, let's
okay,
end
by
it.
saying this.
I gotta go. Let's
Okay.
go, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 100,000
Yeah.
at 15.
Okay.
Wow.
Hold on.
Okay.
There's a caveat here.
Okay.
If after sitting down with me and having a larger conversation, okay, you feel that I add more value than you expected me to, then you will consider lowering the valuation.
Sounds good.
Deal. All right. That's
Yeah,
it.
I got
Oh.
another female investor. Nice, thank you.
Absolutely, Laura.
And I'm in.
And we'll talk.
Yeah, and I'm in for 25.
I would say I'm in for 50 at 15 with a 35% discount.
Next steps, let's all get tequila and
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll go to post.
Jillian's buying.
Jillian's buying.
How is Jillian buying? She put the most money in. You guys all like, hey.
A lot just happened there. So a quick recap. Jillian came in for $100,000, Howie wants in for $25,000, and Shields in for $50,000, for a total of $175,000. When we come back, Laura leaves the room and we hear what investors really thought about her. And then I get Laura on the phone to find out how things panned out after the fact. Stay tuned. This episode of The Pitch is brought to you by Accomplice. Accomplice works with companies, small and large, to design their entire customer experience from beginning to end. To describe how a partnership with Accomplice works, here's Melinda from SearchDex, an SEO technology company.
We do search engine optimization. We've been around since 1998. We're pivoting and trying to expand our footprint, upgrade our technology, reposition, and we have employed a growth strategy. But given the fact that we can't really interrupt the talent we have internally, we needed to go outside. When I came across Accomplice, it was really kind of just a perfect match. In fact, I don't think that I will go to any other company or business without working with them, because they don't say they're your trusted advisor. They actually act it.
To learn more about how Accomplice can be your partner in crime, visit itsworthdoingright.com and click on Accomplice. That's itsworthdoingright.com and then click on Accomplice. Welcome back. Laura just stepped out of the studio, and our investors speak freely.
So meeting her right off the back, I liked the company, but actually I hated her at the beginning.
Yes.
She was
Very
super
cocky.
I didn't hate
super
her.
cocky. I was
Very
like,
cocky.
She was
I hate this person. Definitely warmed up to her over time, but it's interesting. Howie, like, it sounds like you like that.
I got her right away. I didn't think
I-
she was cocky.
she
cocky.
was cocky, but
But
I think
think it was just a display layer. It was
Yeah.
just this thing
I
that
think
was
she-
like she was putting off, and I
she
knew
was-
that it wasn't
But I have
really
to tell
her.
you something. I come against this all the time. When a woman has to pitch, especially to a majority of men, all right, you have to come off tough.
Yeah, that's fair.
You have to, and it's unfortunately it's a catch-22 for women. If
Either
we
you're
are,
cocky or me.
Yeah, if that was a man standing
Yeah.
up here and being like that, you'd be like, oh, he is all that. But the fact that it is a woman standing up there,
I don't think I would. No, I'm
I
about
do
to-
talk a lot to female founders and just say, you know what? You don't have to be, that extra tough, because you do have to be tenacious. But I say this all the time, tenacious and gracious. There has to be you have to have a kindness about you. I actually saw the kindness when she was saying, my Armenia got me through those
Yeah, I
dark
like that.
days.
Yes,
like
that was a more
Okay,
human
and then all of a
thing.
sudden I saw her heart.
Yeah,
I didn't
totally.
see her heart before.
Totally, I love that.
right?
Yeah, I agree
And
with
then,
you.
right?
I think that she's an
Cockiness
East Coaster,
She is an East Coaster, which
and we're not
I
used
get.
to the East
Oh,
Coasters.
I am. I'm
And
from the
she-
East
you know-
Coast.
You're from
I mean,
the East
yeah,
Coast.
England and-
There's no bullshit. There was no bullshit
No,
there.
there's no
And to your
bullshit.
point, I agree. She should have said, like, I appreciate
She should have
and
said that.
thank you.
She's like, I don't even have to be here.
okay,
I don't
the
need your
tenaciousness
money.
I love. To
And
your
that-
point, there
yes.
should have been a little bit of graciousness.
Yeah,
a little bit.
absolutely.
a little bit.
like,
Like, would have been
thank-
nice. But at
yeah.
the same time, it's
I
like,
It's
agree.
okay to be cocky and
Yes.
like confident.
Yes.
That
But
is
not
that's
obnoxious.
fantastic.
Right.
But I don't need your money. I'm here
Yes.
for the publicity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
turn it
wrong,
I,
Howie.
I disagree.
No, that was wrong.
respectfully, because I looked at it as being opportunistic. I looked at it being scrappy. I don't see that level of entrepreneurship anymore, and I love it because she is like, that's rare to me. And I have a Sunday test. All my founders that I invest in, I have to be able to hang out with them on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not going to invest.
That's
And I
cool.
can see myself hanging out with her
like
and
that.
just riffing on ideas, brainstorming, hustling. And that's
she-
just the vibe I got
yeah.
from her. I
When
mean, she
she's-
was just a tough
Yeah,
vibe, but
she smiled. When you saw her smile, you said, okay. And also she said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said that.
yeah.
And that spoke volumes to me. Someone can own their bad, I actually think is a kind of founder that I can work
Yeah.
with. Because I have a lot of female founders and they are pit
Yeah, I think we
bulls.
got it.
Yeah.
And they
There we
have to
go.
be focused.
yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Do we have food?
Oh, we're breaking? Right. Good.
It's been almost a year now, and in the world of startups, a year is a lifetime. Look at this show, for instance. Since we recorded Laura's pitch, we joined a network. Thanks, Gimlet. And we are wrapping up our second season. But what's happened with Teamable? After her pitch, did Laura stick to her guns on the $15 million valuation? And of course, the obvious question, did the money come through? All right, so Jillian committed $100K, Howie $25, and Sheil $50K. What happened after the pitch was over?
Yeah, Howie invested at the valuation we discussed.
The full 25 at 15?
He actually put in 30. Yeah.
Oh, great. And then Sheil, he put in $50K?
No, she'll just took longer than I usually do for these things, and since it wasn't like we needed the money, we just punted.
Oh, really? did he flake out, or you just like stopped pursuing him? What happened?
No, it was pretty mutual. I mean, to me, if it doesn't close within 24 to 48 hours, I move on. It's just a test
Wait.
of responsiveness of the partner. Yeah, for
24 to 48 hours?
yeah, I believe in closing.
You are in that much demand that you can ask that from your investors?
I don't think it's demand. I think it's just good business. And so if it doesn't close quickly, yeah, I move on.
All right, so let's come to Jillian. She committed 100K on the show. What happened after the fact?
I think she committed 100K, invested personally from her fund, whose name I love is called Broad Strategy. So Jillian, and she also invested 200K from her fund Structure.
Wow, so you got 300K in total through Jillian, essentially.
That's right.
All right, bringing the total to 330K on the show.
Correct.
That's
Yes,
exciting.
that's right.
Wow, she's awesome.
She is awesome.
So yeah, what's it been like working with Jillian since the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, Jillian, Howie, they've all been great. Super great energy, super great partner. Calls you out when you're, doing something irrational or cutting off a process. It's hard as a CEO that's doing well to find people that will challenge you with love.
Yeah, I am curious. Have you changed the what you're paying your developers in Armenia at all?
Yeah, we doubled it.
Doubled it.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
What caused you to do that?
I mean, pre-Series A, we were very lean. I lived off of $1,500 a month for 2.5 years.
In San Francisco?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
So so I was actually getting the same salary some of them were getting, and you can live really well in Armenia off of $400. I've lived there and done it, so I'm not just saying something like an ass.
All right, so if you can remember back to your pitch, what it was like in the room pitching those 5 investors, what sticks out in your mind?
That record-stopping moment when I said I didn't need their. I don't remember exactly what I said, but usually,
yeah, you said we don't need the money.
Yeah, usually when you're belligerent like that about and authentic like that, usually there's one that will come, to your defense, or just really the breath of fresh air. And for a second there, I thought there wasn't going to be any, and it was literally going to be I was just going to have to shake their hand.
This is going to be over. Yeah.
Yeah, and go. And I remember just being keep your mouth shut, keep your mouth shut, keep your mouth shut. Deal with the awkward pause, I knew that actually not needing investment is one of the best ways to get investment. And so I thought if nothing else, I would at least put that knowledge out there.
After you left the room, investors said that you were cocky. And why do you think that is, that they pushed back so much on your attitude and demeanor?
I definitely, I know this. I've improved 100%, and I still have 7,000% more to go. I need to pick my words better for people on the West Coast. East Coast style is to bark something at someone, they bark back, and it's a non-traditional style for my gender. That could be it.
Yeah. And I mean, they actually said that after the fact. Jillian brought that up. She said, if this was a man in here pitching this with the same attitude, you would have not said she's cocky, but it's because she's a woman that you said that. So she called him out on that, and they said, no, that's not what happened. We wouldn't have done that.
I really don't want to get into this narrative of competitive disadvantages, because I think there's so many competitive advantages to being a woman. But to me, words are words, right? I don't. That's great that she called me cocky, but she invested, and I definitely don't want any woman that's listening to this to think we have a competitive disadvantage, because we have so many competitive advantages. What would be worse would be my engaging in the narrative of I have a losing hand because I'm a woman. It's just that would be, then I would have lost, right? Like there's always competitive advantages.
Yeah, like what are your competitive advantages, you feel?
I think one is that people trust me, right? And so it's like, if people trust each other, they're willing to be more open, more collaborative, take risks, and all these things.
And you think like as a woman, like finding what that, maybe it's not that people trust you, maybe it is, but like finding whatever your unique competitive advantage is and just embracing that and not even thinking about like the sex side of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, it's like I was a rugby player, right? And so like there were advantages I had because I was low to the ground, right? And that was like a low center of gravity, right? So there's going to be advantage that you have just from your structure. And then there were advantages I had because it was me, which is like I knew what people were going to do before they did it, right? And that's like a very unique to me advantage, and I use that. So I always look like the fastest person, but actually, if you looked at my 40 time, it was slow. Right? And so you need to figure out what are your women advantages and then what are your unique advantages.
Whether you're playing rugby or pitching to investors, there are always a lot of subtle dynamics at play. Strategy, attitude, gender, and you never know which will prove to be the deciding factor. Laura told our investors she didn't need any money, yet she still walked away with hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding, more than any other startup on her show so far. How did she do it? I tend to agree with Laura that she got this funding because investors trusted her, and they trusted her because she was brutally honest. In every pitch, investors try to see behind an entrepreneur's mask to see who they really are as a founder. Laura made that easy with her blunt delivery. That can be a polarizing strategy, but polarizing isn't always a bad thing. The investors who do appreciate that approach won't need much more convincing. This is the final episode of Season 2. We'll be on break until October 25th when Season 3 starts. We just recorded those pitches earlier this month, and let me just say, you're not going to want to miss them. Oh, and before I go, remember that Golden Gate Bridge replica that Jillian was talking about earlier? NASA did buy it, and they're now using it for wind tunnel testing. Pretty cool. All right, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you this fall. Our show is produced by me, Josh Muccio, Asa Chaturvedi, and Rob Zipko. We are edited by Devin Taylor with help from Alex Bloomberg. Special thanks to Colleen Pellissier and Allison Behringer, who originally produced this episode back in our indie podcast days. Our theme music is by Breakmaster Cylinder, with original music composed by The Musemaker, Bobby Lord, Jeff Brodsky, Christian Bjorkland, John Kimbrough, Louis Weeks, Bean Art, and Edwin. We were mixed by Enoch Kim. Thanks to Lisa Muccio for planning the Season 2 recording event last fall. And a quick disclaimer, no offer to invest is being made to or solicited from the listening audience on today's show. Also, I want to say a quick thank you to the original sponsor of Season 2, the It's Worth Doing Right family. All right, you've been listening to The Pitch from Gimlet Media. I'm Josh Muccio. See you next season.